afternoon now. Good afternoon, everyone.
Príjemné popoludnie.
Let's begin the word of prayer.
Poďme sa pomodliť.
Amen.
Amen.
So, we've been looking at the number 126 as a prophetic symbol.
Pozerali sme sa na číslo 126 ako na číslo, ktoré má
And
prorocký
I've been
význam.
asked by some to recap what we covered yesterday.
Niektorí ma požiadali, aby sme to troška zhrnuli, čo sme vraveli.
And by way of quick recap,
Takže to tak rýchlo urobím.
we looked at the 2520.
Pozerali sme sa na 2520.
And we saw that there is a chiasm within the structure of the 2520.
Videli sme tam, že je tam určitá chiastická štruktúra v tom 2520.
Where the things we see at the beginning of the 2520 are the things that we see at the end of the 2520.
Veci, ktoré vidíme na začiatku 2520, sú tie, ktoré vidíme aj na konci.
Right? So there's this mirror effect between the beginning and the end of this time prophecy.
Takže je tam taký zrkadlový efekt na začiatku a na konci proroctva.
And I made the statement that this concept that the end parallels the beginning
Povedal som, že tento koncept, že začiatok je v paralele s koncom,
is embedded within the DNA of the 2520.
to je základ DNA toho
Then we went
2520.
to Daniel chapter 5,
Potom sme išli do Daniela 5,
where we have Mene Mene Tekel Upharsin being brought to view.
kde sa hovorí Mene Mene Tekel Upharsin.
And these are weight measurements
A toto sú vlastne váhové
that
jednotky,
add up to 126.
ktoré sa dajú spočítať ako 126.
A mene, we said, is 50 shekels.
Mene je
So
60
mene
šekelov.
mene would make 100 shekels.
Mene Mene je
A tekel is 1 shekel.
50 šekelov,
A upharsin is
50,
half a mene, which would be 25 shekels.
51 a 25. Mene Mene Tekel
So
Upharsin.
as you add these up, you come up with the number 126.
Keď to spočítame, dostaneme 126.
Now, these 126 shekels can be converted to a more basic weight measure called gerahs.
A oni môžu byť prehodené na géry.
And according to scripture, there are 20 gerahs in a shekel.
Podľa písma je 20 gera v jednom šekeli.
So 126 times 20 gives you 2520 gerahs.
126 krát 20 je 2520.
Right. So we said that Daniel understood these weight measurements.
Hovorili sme, že Daniel rozumel týmto váhovým jednotkám.
And he understood what they meant.
A rozumel tomu, čo znamenajú.
Because the 2520 is the prophecy identifying judgment and scattering.
2520 je proroctvo, ktoré identifikuje súd a rozptýlenie.
And was able to tell Belshazzar that this is what God is saying is going to happen, has happened and will happen.
A on povedal Baltazárovi, toto je to, čo sa stalo a to aj to, čo sa stane.
So this number 126 is a symbol of the 2520.
126 je symbolom 2520.
Right. So we started identifying applications of the number 126 in the scripture, in prophetic history.
Začali sme aplikovať číslo 126 v prorockých dejinách.
Remembering the idea that the beginning of the 2520 parallels the end.
Pamätajúc na tú myšlienku, že začiatok 2520 je v paralele s
Therefore, the
koncom.
beginning of 126 parallels the end of 126.
Takže začiatok 2520 je v paralele s koncom 2520.
So identified a significant year in prophetic history, which was 1888.
Závažný rok 1888
And we spoke about what happened in 1888.
a hovorili sme, čo sa stalo v roku 1888.
That you have the outpouring of the latter rain in
Mali
the
sme
message of
vyliatie
righteousness
Ducha
by faith.
Svätého.
You have two classes being manifested at the Minneapolis General Conference.
Máme dve triedy, ktoré sa ukázali na konferencii v Minneapolis, alebo dve skupiny,
Because some accepted this message and the majority rejected it.
niektorí to prijali, ale väčšina to odmietla. To posolstvo.
And the rejection of this message constitutes a rebellion.
A odmietnutie tohto posolstva, to je rebelia,
And
vzbúra.
Ellen White in manuscript releases
Ellen Whiteová v rukopisoch
says that these men who were rebelling against the message of Jones and Wagner
hovorí, že títo ľudia, ktorí vlastne boli v rebelii proti
were repeating
Jonesovi
the
a
rebellion of
Wagnerovi,
Korah, Dathan, and Abiram.
to je podobné ako rebelia Kora, Dátan a Abiram.
So when we count 126 from 1888,
Keď spočítame 126 od 1888,
it brings you to 2014.
prídeme k 2014.
And in 2014, we see all the things that we saw in 1888.
A v 2014 vidíme všetky tieto veci, ktoré sme videli v 1888.
We see the latter rain beginning to be poured out.
Vidíme, že začal neskorý dážď
And the outpouring of this latter rain is marked, Ezra 7:9 marks the beginning of this, of the latter rain.
a Ezdráž 7.9 zaznačuje začiatok toho vylievania neskorého
And the
dažďa.
truths that have been unsealed in connection with Ezra 7:9.
A pravdy, ktoré začali byť odpečaťované v spojitosti s Ezdrášom 7.9.
Up to this present time, these are the latter rain.
A až do dneška to stále je neskorý
And we saw
dážď.
two classes in 2014 in this movement.
Videli sme od 2014. dve skupiny v tomto hnutí,
Because there was a class who was rejecting this new dispensation of light.
bola skupina, ktorá odmietla toto nové svetlo.
I think we can say the majority,
Dokonca musím povedať, že väčšina.
while there were others who were receiving it as light from heaven.
A boli potom iní, ktorí to prijali ako svetlo od Boha.
And those rejecting this light, they were in rebellion.
Tí, čo to odmietli, boli v zbure.
And at the time, the passages the Lord led people to make sense of this development
A v tom čase Pán Boh to viedol, tento vývoj.
was the history of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram,
Bol to vývoj dejín podobných ako
which was
Koran,
a
Dátan.
rebellion against
a Abiram.
God's organization fundamentally.
To bola vzbúra proti organizácii, ktorú Boh spravil.
Right, so we then went on to look at the number 151,
Potom sme sa išli pozrieť na číslo 151,
because an alternate measure for a mene
taký
is 60 shekels instead of 50 shekels.
prvotné meranie mene je 60
So
šekelov, nie
if you
50.
If you add up the same calculation of mene tekel ufasin
Keď spravíme znova ten istý súčet,
with 60 shekels for a mene,
pre 60 šekelov na mene
it'll give you 151.
dostaneme 151.
So 151 is also a symbol of the 2520.
To je tiež symbolom 2520.
Right, so at the end of the 151 parallels, the beginning of the 151 parallels the end.
Začiatok 151 je v paralele s koncom 151.
Then we took another significant year in prophetic history,
Zobrali sme ďalší dôležitý rok v prorockej histórii,
which is 1863,
1863,
And we saw a number of things happen in 1863,
A videli sme, koľko vecí sa stalo v tom 63.
internal to the Adventist Church.
Aj interne v adventnej cirkvi,
You have organization,
tam sa diala organizácia
and you have a rejection of foundational truth.
a odmietnutie základných pravd
This being the 2520.
ako 2520.
Now, the rejection of this 2520 marks the beginning
Odmietnutie 2520 zaznačuje začiatok
of the scattering of the jewels of truth in William Miller's dream.
Je to začiatok rozptýlenia tých pokladov pravdy v sne Williama Millera.
Okay, so we see these developments. If we count 151 from 1863,
Keď prídeme do 1863 a pripočítame 151,
it takes you to 2014,
prídeme do 2014,
where organization becomes present truth within this movement.
organizácia sa stane prítomnou pravdou v tomto hnutí.
Of course, it's a couple of years before concrete steps start to be taken in the work of organization.
Pravda, že je to ešte pár rokov, kedy sa konkrétne kroky začnú robiť v tej organizácii,
But at least here it starts to be identified as present truth.
ale začne sa o tom hovoriť ako o prítomnej pravde.
And we see a rejection of foundational truth also in 2014.
A v 2014 sme aj videli odmietnutie základnej pravdy.
Because those in this movement who are repeating the history of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram,
Tí v tomto hnutí, ktorí opakujú históriu Kora, Dátan a Abíram,
in order to reject Ezra 7:9,
na to, aby odmietli Ezdráša 7.9,
they realized that they needed to reject the very foundational concepts of this movement.
oni museli vlastne odmietnúť veľmi základné koncepty v tomto hnutí.
Such as the line upon line method, the prophetic line methodology.
Ako línia na líniu, spôsob výučby.
Right. So I think that was where we got up to.
Sem sme prišli
And today we will continue. We'll actually start on the notes today.
Začneme s tými poznámkami.
So we'll go back to the number 126.
Poďme naspäť k tomu číslu 126.
The number 126 is a symbol of the 2520.
Je to symbolom 2520.
And of course, in the 2520, the end parallels the beginning.
V 2520 začiatok je paralelom pre koniec.
But there's more that we see in the 2520.
Ale je tam ešte viac toho, čo môžeme vidieť.
If we lay out the structure of the prophecy,
Keď rozpíšeme si tú štruktúru toho proroctva,
which I will do in a moment,
čo hneď urobím,
we see two lines in the 2520.
vidíme dve línie v 2520.
A line for the northern tribes and a line for the southern tribes.
Línia pre tie severné kráľovstva alebo kmene
Northern
a
Kingdom and the Southern
pre južné kmene.
And this line for the northern kingdom takes us from 723
Táto línia Severného kráľovstva nás berie od 723
to 1798.
do 1798
And this line for the southern kingdom
a línia Južného kráľovstva
takes us from 677
nás berie od 677
to 1844.
do 1844.
So we have 2520. And where did we laid out this line from 1888 to 2014.
Takže túto líniu sme rozprestreli od 1888 po 2014.
And I want to suggest to us that this line from 677 to 1844
Chcel by som ukázať, že táto línia od 677 po 1844
parallels this line from 1888 to 2014.
je v paralele s líniou 1888 do 2014.
What am I getting at?
Čo tu chcem
I'm saying
ukázať?
we've seen that within the 2520 the end parallels the beginning.
Videli sme, že začiatok je v paralele s koncom v tom 2520.
And this is repeated here in this symbolic 2520 here in the 126.
To sa tu opakuje v tomto symbolickom 2520 ako 126
But the
rokov.
2520 has two lines.
Ale 2520 má dve línie.
And each of these lines teach different truths.
Každá z týchto línií učí rôzne pravdy.
So in this symbolic 2520 we'll also see two lines
Aj v tejto symbolickej 2520 uvidíme dve línie,
that are teaching different truths about the history of Adventism.
ktoré učia rôzne pravdy o histórii adventizmu.
So this line from 677 to 1844
Táto línia od 677 po 1844
parallels this line that we've already laid out from 1888 to 2014.
je v paralele s 1888 po 2014.
So if you look at this line from 1844 parallels 2014.
Keď sa pozrieme na túto líniu 1844 a 2014 ako
Because
v
in
jednej.
1844 the work of measuring the temple became present truth.
V 1844 meranie chrámu sa stalo prítomnou pravdou.
And we see this in Revelation 10.
To vidíme v Zjavení 10.
If you turn to Revelation 10 and verse 10,
Poďme sa pozrieť do Zjavenia 10.10
and we'll read Revelation 10 verse 10 to chapter 11 verse 2.
a budeme to čítať až po kapitolu 11, verš 2.
And it says, "And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey. And as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. And he said unto me, Thou must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months."
A vzal som knižku z ruky anjela a zjedol som ju a bola v mojich ústach sladká ako med, ale keď som ju zjedol, zhorklo moje brucho. A povedal mi, musíš zase prorokovať proti ľuďom a národom a jazykom a mnohým kráľom. A bola mi daná trstina podobná prútu. A anjel stal a povedal, vstaň a zmeraj chrám Boží, aj oltár, aj tých, ktorí sa modlia v ňom. A dvor, ktorý je zvonku chrámu, vyhoď von a nemeraj ho, lebo je daný pohanom, i to sväté mesto budú šliapať 42 mesiacov.
All right, so after the great disappointment
Po veľkom
on October
sklamaní
22nd, 1844,
v roku 1844
they're told to prophesy again.
bolo im povedané, aby prorokovali znova.
And the very next development in Revelation 11
A ďalšie, čo sa deje v Zjavení 11,
is the measuring of the temple.
je meranie chrámu.
And this is pointing to, on one level, the opening of the most holy place.
A to na jednej strane ukazuje na otvorenie svätyne svätých
And the understanding of the sanctuary doctrine,
a porozumenie učenia o svätyni,
which also opened up the Sabbath truth.
čo aj otvorilo pravdu o sobote.
Right. So in 2014, the work of measuring the temple becomes present truth as well.
V roku 2014 toto dielo merania sa stáva prítomnou pravdou.
It was in this year, I believe, that light was opened up on the most holy place.
Verím, že to bolo v tomto roku, kedy bolo otvorené svetlo ohľadne svätyne svätých.
That this light of Ezra 7:9, this is the opening of the most holy place of the heavenly sanctuary.
Ezráš 7.9 to je otvorenie o nebeskej
So
svätyni.
at a prophetic level, there's that application.
Na prorockej úrovni je tam táto aplikácia.
But if you look at the temple is God's church.
Keď sa pozrieme na chrám, ktorý je Božou cirkvou,
And this work of measuring the temple can also be seen to represent the work of organization.
a dielo merania chrámu môžeme vidieť aj ako dielo organizácie.
Right? Since 2014, organization has been present truth, as we've already identified.
Od 2014 organizácia je prítomnou pravdou, ako sme to už identifikovali.
And the groundwork for organization was, yes, you could identify organization as far back as 9/11.
Áno, základy organizácie môžeme vidieť už pri 9.11,
But we can also say that the groundwork for organization was laid here in 2014.
ale môžeme aj povedať, že naozaj to základné dielo sa začalo robiť v
Maybe
2014.
groundwork is not very accurate,
To
but
základné asi není
a
dobré
significant
slovo.
development in the work of organization took place in 2014.
Nie základné, ale tak by som povedal, veľmi výrazný vývoj organizácie sa začal od
Because a
2014.
truth that was emphasized in 2014
Pravda, ktorá bola zvýraznená v 2014,
was the covenant lines.
bolo zmluvné
Now, in the study of the
Línie.
raising of the temple,
Keď študujeme pozdvihnutie chrámu,
that was shared here in Italy last year
o tom sme hovorili minulý rok v Taliansku
and has been shared by myself in different places since then.
a odtedy som to aj ja na iných miestach sa o to delil.
Through that study, we tracked the development of the message from 1989 to the present day.
Vlastne sledujeme vývoj posolstva od 1989 po dnešný deň.
And in 2014, an important truth that was taught at this time were the covenant lines.
V 2014 vlastne dôležité veci, ktoré sa učili, boli línie zmluvy. Zmluvné línie.
What these covenant lines teach
A čo oni učia?
is that God is now entering into covenant
Že Boh
with,
vstupuje,
with the remnant, as we would call it then.
Boh vstupuje do zmluvy s ostatkom.
He's now entering into covenant with the people that he will use to give the loud cry.
Vstupuje do zmluvy s ľuďmi, ktorých chce použiť na hlasné volanie.
But an important truth is that when God is entering into covenant with one people, or rather before you come to that, and he is presenting this remnant with tokens of his covenant with them.
A Boh prezentuje tento ostatok ako
Token symbols.
ako symbol tej zmluvy, ktorú robí.
In ancient Israel, when God entered into covenant with them,
V starovekom Izraeli, keď Boh vstúpil do zmluvy s ním,
he gave them the two tables of the Ten Commandments as tokens or symbols of the covenant.
dal im tie dve dosky zmluvy ako symbol zmluvy.
And with the final remnant at the end of the world,
s konečným ostatkom na konci sveta.
These two charts are the tokens of God's covenant with this group of people.
Tieto tabuľky sú symbolom zmluvy, ktorú Boh dáva svojmu ľudu.
And so there are two tables for literal Israel and two tables for spiritual Israel at the end.
Máme dve dosky pre duchovný Izrael a dve dosky pre doslovný Izrael.
Right. So God is entering into covenant with this remnant
Boh vstupuje do zmluvy s ostatkom,
that we now more often refer to as the church triumphant.
a teraz viac o tom hovoríme ako o cirkvi víťaznej.
But when God is entering into covenant with a group of people,
Ale keď Boh vstupuje do zmluvy
it's
s
something that you
ľudom,
see in different sacred histories.
to je niečo, čo vidíme v tých dejinách svätých.
That as he enters into covenant with one group of people, he's bypassing another group of people.
Keď vstupuje do zmluvy s jednými, obchádza tých iných.
When Christ was entering into covenant with the Christian church, he was bypassing the Jews.
Keď Kristus vošiel do zmluvy s kresťanskou cirkvou,
When Christ was
obišiel
entering into
Židov.
covenant with Adventism, he was bypassing the Christian church.
Keď vstúpil do zmluvy s adventizmom, obišiel protestantskú cirkev.
So an important implication of the understanding that God is entering into covenant with the church triumphant
Dôležité porozumenie Boha vstupovania do zmluvy
is that God is bypassing Adventism.
je to, že Boh obchádza adventizmus.
In the very same way he bypassed the Jews in AD 34 and the Christian church in 1844.
Rovnakým spôsobom, ako obišiel Židov a rovnakým spôsobom, ako obišiel protestantov.
So God is raising up another church.
Boh pozdvihuje inú cirkev.
And God's church is always organized.
Božia cirkev je vždy
Right? We can't
zorganizovaná.
look to the idea that many people have in the church
Nemôžeme zhliadať k tejto myšlienke, ktorú mnohí majú v zbore alebo v cirkvi,
that somehow the present Adventist organization is going to be purged or transformed or any such thing.
že momentálne adventistická organizácia bude nejako prečistená alebo
There's an entirely new body that is being established.
nejako zmenená. To je úplne nové cirkevné telo, ktoré Boh zakladá.
Right? So this understanding
Toto pochopenie
is important groundwork.
je dôležitý základ,
Right? It gives an intellectual basis
dáva to intelektuálny základ
for the practical actions that are going to be taken in the work of organization.
pre praktické dielo, ktoré sa musí urobiť v tej organizácii.
Okay, so that's what we see taking place in 2014.
Toto sa udialo v 2014.
Right? So this line is emphasizing the restoration of the covenant and the raising up of a covenant people.
Táto línia zdôrazňuje obnovenie zmluvy alebo povolanie
And
zmluvných ľudí.
we can see this in connection with this line here.
A to tu vidíme v spojitosti s touto líniou.
But the 2520 has two lines, as we've said.
Ale 2520 má dve línie, ako sme vraveli.
Whereas this line is emphasizing the restoration of the covenant and the raising up of a covenant people,
Táto línia zdôrazňuje pozdvihnutie ľudu zmluvy alebo urobenie zmluvy s ľudom.
the top line is emphasizing something else.
Tá horná línia niečo iné zdôrazňuje.
It brings to view two phases of desolation, two phases of scattering.
Prináša to dve fázy rozptýlenia.
This line is emphasizing the scattering of God's people.
To rozptýlenie Božieho ľudu.
And in its representation of this scattering, it divides it into two.
V tom rozptýlení sa to rozdeľuje na dve.
And this was an idea that was integral to Miller's understanding and approach to Bible prophecy.
Toto bola myšlienka, ktorá bola veľmi známa
This was an idea that was integral to Miller's understanding of Bible prophecy.
Miller bol oboznámený s touto myšlienkou v biblickom proroctve.
That throughout the course of sacred history there are two powers that desolate the church.
Sú dve moci, ktoré vlastne pustošia cirkev.
And they're symbolically represented as the daily or the daily desolation.
A sú reprezentované ako ustavičná alebo ustavičné pustošenie,
which is paganism,
čo je pohanstvo,
and the abomination of desolation.
A ohavnosť pustošenia,
which is the papacy.
Čo je pápežstvo.
And the daily desolation desolated the church for 1,260 years.
To denné pustošenie vlastne pustošilo cirkev 1260 rokov.
Until we come to 538.
Až kým sme prišli do 538.
Where we see a changing of the guard.
Kde sme uvideli zmenenie.
And from 538 to 1798 the papacy is desolating the church.
Na to, že vlastne pápežstvo pustošilo cirkev.
And we can represent these another way.
Toto sa dá aj ináč reprezentovať.
The daily desolation
Ustavičné
is a desolation from without the church or outside the church.
Ustavičné pustošenie je pustošenie zvonku.
Because paganism was, how shall I frame it? It was a system completely different from the Christian form of worship.
Pohanstvo bol úplne iný systém od kresťanského uctievania.
Right? Paganism was more of a snare to the Jewish nation.
Pohanstvo skôr bolo takou pascou pre židovský národ.
Because the Jewish system of worship centered around animal sacrifices, right?
Židovské uctievanie bolo vlastne okolo obeti zvierat centralizované.
And paganism presented a counterfeit to the Jewish system of worship.
A pohanstvo ponúkalo takú napodobeninu toho uctievania, aké robili Židia.
Because the pagan system of worship also centered on animal sacrifices.
Pretože aj to pohanské uctievanie sa zameralo na obetovanie zvierat.
In the Christian dispensation,
ale v kresťanskej epoche,
it's an entirely new system of worship.
Je to úplne nový systém uctievania.
So we see Satan modifying his approach.
Vidíme, že Satan troška upravuje ten svoj prístup.
To adapt to this new system of worship.
Aby to prispôsobil tomu inému štýlu uctievania Boha.
And his approach now was to create the papacy.
A ten jeho prístup bol taký, že vytvoril pápežstvo,
which we can represent as the desolation from within Christianity.
A to je pustošenie znútra.
Right? The desolation that took on Christian forms and professed to be Christian.
Pustošenie, ktoré zobralo na seba formy kresťanské a tvárilo sa ako kresťanské.
So this is something that we see in the history of, this is the point of emphasis of the top line of the 2520.
Toto je to, čo vidíme vlastne v tej hlavnej línii 2520.
And we see that this line
a vidíme,
ends at the time of the end.
Táto línia končí v čase konca.
So what we should see
to, čo by sme mali vidieť,
with the 126
zo 126
another line,
je ďalšia línia.
right? If 126 is a symbol of the 2520,
126 je symbolom 2520.
we should see another line that parallels this top line.
Mali by sme vidieť druhú líniu, ktorá je v paralele s touto vrchnou.
And this line would end at the time of the end.
A to bude končiť v čase konca.
So we ask ourselves, what's the time of the end for the final generation?
Takže sa pýtame, čo je čas konca v poslednej generácii?
This is 1989.
To je
So if we
1989.
count 126 from 1989,
Keď počítame 126 od 1989
counting back,
cestou naspäť,
it takes you to 1888.
prídeme k 1888.
Oh, 1863? Oh, sorry, yes. Sorry.
Pardon, 1863.
1863.
1863.
Right. So from 723 to 1798, we have the scattering of God's people.
Od 723 do 1798 máme pustošenie
And
Božieho
from
ľudu.
1863 to 1989, we have another scattering.
Od 1863 po 1899 máme
But
ďalšie
this is not the scattering of God's people.
pustošenie Božie, alebo rozptýlenie Božieho ľudu.
It's the scattering of the jewels in William Miller's dream.
Ale toto nie je rozptýlenie ľudu, ale rozptýlenie tých pravd,
Right.
ktoré William Miller videl vo sne.
In Miller's dream, his key,
V Millerovom sne jeho kľúč,
which represents his rules of interpretation,
ktoré reprezentujú jeho pravidlá interpretácie,
this key opened a casket.
tento kľúč otvoril
You can
truhličku.
show that the casket is the Bible.
A to môžeme ukázať, že to je vlastne Biblia.
And in it he found all these jewels,
A v tom našiel všetky tie poklady.
which were the truths that were revealed to him.
To boli pravdy, ktoré mu boli zjavené.
And the truths revealed to him are what you see on the 1843 chart.
A tie pravdy, čo mu boli zjavené, to vidíme tu, na tej karte.
These are the jewels of Miller's dream.
To sú tie poklady v tom jeho sne, alebo perly.
So in 1863 you begin to see the scattering of these jewels.
1863 začneme vidieť rozptýlenie týchto periel.
Beginning with the rejection of the 2520.
Začínajúc odmietnutím 2520.
And you can trace the rejection of each one of these truths.
A môžeme sledovať odmietnutie každej z týchto pravd.
Or rather, you could trace the history of the rejection of these truths.
Môžeme sledovať v dejinách ich odmietnutie.
Till 1989,
Do,
when in the words of Miller's dream, they're entirely covered.
až do 1989, kedy podľa slov Williama Millera boli úplne zakryté a zahádzané.
They've all been scattered.
Boli všetky už
So we see
rozptýlené.
that they're parallel, the same theme emphasized by this line
Vlastne rovnaká téma,
is
ktorá
brought to
je
view in this line as well.
zvýraznená v tej prvej línii, je prinesená aj v tej
But what else
druhej.
do we see?
Čo ešte vidíme?
We see that there are two phases to this desolation
Sú dve
from
fázy
723 to 1798.
rozptýlenia, dve fázy rozptýlenia.
Therefore, we should see two phases within this time period of desolation from 1863 to 1989.
Mali by sme tiež vidieť dve fázy rozptýlenia od 1863 po 1989.
Right? We see two equal periods of
Dve
1260
rovnaké obdobia 1260.
right? Half of 126 will give you 63.
Keď ich rozdelíme na polovicu, je to 63 a 63.
And the midpoint,
A ten stred,
the midpoint between these two equal periods of 63 years
v strede tých dvoch rovnakých období,
takes you to 1926.
je 1926.
So we'll come to your notes now to make sense of that which we're laying out here.
Poďme sa pozrieť na poznámky vaše, aby sme trošku dali zmysel tomu, čo tu kreslíme.
On page 46.
Strana 46.
Now there's a bullet there, partway down the page. It says the line of 723 to 1798 is divided into two periods of 1,260 years. Thus, the 126 can be divided into two periods of 63 years.
Seite 46, ein Punkt in der Mitte, heißt die Linie von 723 bis 1798 ist in zwei Perioden von je 1260 Jahren geteilt. Folglich können die 126 Jahre in zwei Perioden von je 63 Jahren geteilt werden.
Right. So we're going to come to that next paragraph.
Takže v slovenských je to strana 44.
But what we will see is that 1863 to 1926
To, čo uvidíme v 1863 až do 1926,
this is the desolation from within.
to je vlastne
And
pustošenie
from
znútra.
1926 to 1989,
A od 1926 do 1989
this is a desolation from without.
pustošenie zvonku.
So there's a mirroring of the pattern within the top line of the 2520.
Takže to je zrkadlenie toho vzorca 2520.
Which is something that we often see in prophetic chiasms.
Toto je niečo, čo vidíme často, taký prorocká, chiastická štruktúra.
How do we say that 1863 to 1926, that this was the desolation from within?
Ako tam vidíme, že od 1863 po 1926 sa dialo pustošenie znútra.
Because the work of undermining the truth that you saw in this time period
To dielo vlastne podceňovania tých pravd, ktoré boli videné pred tým
was carried
obdobím,
forward predominantly from sources within the church itself.
bolo nesené vlastne zo zdrojov cirkvi.
You could, and I list some of these towards the bottom of the page, page
Ja som-
46.
Ja som niektoré z nich tu vymenoval, keď budete sledovať to na tej
Right, you have
stránke.
Kellogg.
Ako Kellogg,
Right, Kellogg was from within the church,
on bol z cirkvi.
and he began to publish his pantheistic ideas in 1903.
Začal publikovať svoje panteistické názory v 1903.
Bellinger was also from within the church,
Takisto Palanger, ten bol tiež z cirkvi.
and he began to publish his ideas attacking the sanctuary doctrine in 1905.
A on začal útočiť na svetiňu v 1905.
In this same time period, you have the 1919 Bible Conference,
V rovnakom čase máme vlastne konferenciu 1919,
where you see many things happening.
kde sa stali rôzne veci.
You have the leadership of the church undermining the spirit of prophecy, rejecting the spirit of prophecy.
Vedenie cirkvi odmietlo duch proroctva.
You have W. Prescott introducing a new gospel,
Máme tu Prescotta, ktorý prináša nové
which
evanjelium,
is the Protestant gospel,
čo je vlastne protestantské evanjelium.
right? Through his book, The Doctrine of Christ.
Skrze jeho knihu Učenie Krista.
And the idea he was presenting is that we don't need Bible prophecy, essentially.
A on vlastne mal takú myšlienku, že my nepotrebujeme proroctva,
All we need is Jesus.
potrebujeme len Ježiša.
So he presented a conception of the gospel
priniesol vlastne koncept evanjelia,
separate from Bible prophecy.
oddelujúc od biblického proroctva.
Right, so that's what we see taking place in 1919.
To sa dialo v 1919.
And there's more that you can identify within this time period.
A sú ešte aj iné veci, ktoré môžeme identifikovať v tomto čase.
But I think these are enough to make the point that this work of desolating the church originated from within in this time period.
Ale toto je dosť na to, aby sme ukázali, že vlastne cirkev bola pustošená znútra.
And from 1926 onwards, this is the time period of the desolation from without.
A od 1926 ďalej to je pustošenie zvonku.
Do we see a significant development in 1926 to mark this, the beginning of this phase?
Vidíme nejaký vývoj toho, aby sme to tu zaznačili v tejto fáze?
Yes, we do.
Áno.
Now, the paragraph in the middle of the page,
Paragraf v strede strany,
it says 1863 plus 63 gives 1926. This was the year in which the General Conference Executive Committee adopted the Ecumenical Working Policy number 075.
Neviem to nájsť, kde to číta.
Yeah, I just read up to 075. So this year the church adopted an ecumenical working policy.
V tomto čase cirkev prijala ekumenické
And the
politické
next
práce.
portion, which is in quotation marks,
Potom ďalšie tu máme citované.
is taken from the Adventist General Conference website.
To je zobrané vlastne z konferencie adventistov.
So speaking of this policy, it says, every agency that lifts up Christ before men. This policy recognizes every agency that lifts up Christ before men as a part of the divine plan for the evangelization of the world, and hold in high esteem the Christian men and women in other communions who are engaged in winning souls to Christ.
Diese Arbeitsrichtlinien Nummer besagten, dass alle Institutionen, die christusvolle Menschen als Teil des göttlichen Plans
Neviem nájsť, kde to číta.
und jeden christlichen Mann und Frau anderer Gemeinschaften hochschätzen, die mit dem Gewinn
To strany 44 a 45 slovenských
So what
poznámkach.
is it saying? It's saying we recognize that the other churches and denominations are winning souls to Christ and doing the work of the gospel.
Vlastne hovorí to o tom, že druhé denominácie a iné cirkvy získavajú duše pre Krista a robia teda dielo evanjelia.
We hold them in high esteem
My si ich veľmi vážime a ceníme
and are adopting a principle of cooperation
a chceme mať zásadu spolupráce
with these other churches.
s týmito ďalšími cirkvami.
All right, now this is a rejection of the second angel's message.
Toto je odmietnutie druhého anjela.
What does the second angel's message say?
Čo je posolstvo druhého anjela?
The second angel says that these other churches are Babylon,
Posolstvo druhého anjela hovorí, že tieto cirkvy sú Babylon.
right? They are fallen
Padli
because of the rejection of the first angel's message.
kvôli odmietnutiu posolstva prvého
And
anjela.
that you need to come out of them.
A že máme z nich výjsť.
You need to separate from them and join the faith of the third angel.
Musíme sa od nich oddeliť a prísť a pridať sa k dielu tretieho anjela.
Or you will be lost.
Alebo budeme stratení.
Right? So you have the adoption of an ecumenical working policy,
Takže je tu adopcia ekumenickej
which is a
spolupráce.
necessary development to pave the way for what we saw in this history.
A to je vlastne vývoj dejín, ktoré sme videli.
Right? Because what you see in this history, I think, was in the 1950s.
Okolo roku 1950
You have the evangelical conferences,
boli evangelické konferencie,
where certain leaders of the church
A určití vedúci cirkvi
entered into secret meetings with evangelical leaders.
išli na tajné stretnutia s vedúcimi týchto evangelických cirkví.
And they had dialogue about the doctrines of the church.
A vlastne viedli určité dialógy o učení našej cirkvi.
And the result of that dialogue was the book Questions on Doctrine.
A výsledok toho dialógu bola kniha Učenie Krista.
Questions on Doctrine. And what you see in that book Questions on Doctrine,
A to, čo vidíme v tej knihe,
or rather a bit of background for those meetings,
alebo trošku vám dám ešte k tým stretnutiam pozadie.
one of these evangelical leaders
Jeden z týchto evangelických vedúcich
was writing a book that was going to be published extensively.
písal knihu, ktorá mala byť publikovaná.
Was writing a book that was going to be published extensively.
Písal knihu, ktorá mala byť publikovaná veľmi v širokom zábere mnohým ľuďom.
And this book was on the subject of cults.
A týkalo sa to kultov.
And he came to these certain leaders of the Adventist church
A prišli k týmto vedúcim cirkvi
and told them, I'm writing a book on cults, and in this book I'm going to call you a cult.
a povedali, ja píšem knihu o kultoch a vás zaradím, že ste kult.
You're not a mainline Christian denomination.
Nie ste kresťanská denominácia.
Because of these specific doctrines that you hold.
Kvôli týmto špecifickým učeniam, ktorých sa
And these
držíte.
leaders wanted to be recognized as a mainline Christian denomination.
Lenže títo vedúci chceli, aby nás uznali za kresťanskú organizáciu.
So in those meetings they compromised on these doctrines that made Adventists an outlier. Right?
Takže počas týchto stretnutí urobili kompromisy v učení, ktoré nás vlastne takto oddelovalo.
Right? These include prominently the spirit of prophecy,
To sa týkalo
the watered
ducha
down Ellen White's
prorockého
role and importance within the church,
a jej roli v cirkvi. Roli Ellen Whiteovej v cirkvi.
also the atonement.
Taktiež dielo zmierenia.
Right? Is the work of the atonement finished at the cross as the Protestants believe?
Skončilo dielo zmierenia na kríži, tak jak tomu veria protestanti?
Or is there a phase after the cross
Alebo je tam ešte nejaká fáza po kríži,
where Christ is in the sanctuary ministering the benefits of his atonement?
keď je Kristus vo svätyni ponúkajúc to prikrytie hriechov.
And this phase is just as significant as his death on the cross and just as necessary.
Tá fáza je rovnako dôležitá, významná, potrebná, tak ako
Right? They
fáza
adopted the
zomretia na
Protestant
kríži.
understanding of the atonement as well.
Čiže vzdali sa aj tohto porozumenia zmierenia.
Right? So we have this work of the Protestants now desolating the church, the desolation from without.
Takže teraz vlastne je tu tá fáza tej protestantskej cirkvi, ktorá pustoší zvonku.
And they are scattering the jewels of truth.
A rozhadzujú perly pravdy.
But this work would have been impossible, or it wouldn't have been able to take place
Ale toto dielo by nebolo možné, alebo by sa nemohlo udiať,
without the church taking the positive step to adopt an ecumenical policy in 1926.
keby cirkev neprijala toto ekumenické dielo.
Right? So 1926 to 1989, this is the period of the desolation from without.
Od 1926 do 1989 sa deje pustošenie zvonku.
Right? So we see that the top line of the 2520 parallels this line as well.
Takže vidíme, že tá vrchná línia 2520 je v paralele s touto líniou.
There's another development that we can see from 723 to 1798.
Je tu ešte určitý iný vývoj, ktorý môžeme vidieť od 723 do 1798,
Which is this 30-year period from 508 to 538.
A je to vlastne časové obdobie 30 rokov od 530 do 538.
And what took place over these 30 years?
Čo sa stalo počas týchto 30 rokov?
This was a preparatory period for the papacy,
To bolo taká prípravné obdobie pre pápežstvo,
in which it was preparing to do the work which it began in 538.
ktoré vlastne pripravovalo to dielo, ktoré malo začať v
Right, 508 is
538.
when we mark the taking away of the daily. Paganism is taken away.
Takže pohanstvo bolo odňaté, odňatá bola ustavičná.
Then there's 30 years before the abomination of desolation is fully established and begins to persecute.
Potom počas týchto 30 rokov je vlastne plne založené pápežstvo a začína prenasledovanie.
The point is that there's a preparatory period
Ide o to, že
before we see
je tu,
the second phase of desolation doing its work.
je tu určité obdobie prípravy.
And I'm saying we can see the same thing in this line.
A to isté môžeme vidieť aj v tejto línii.
There's a preparatory period not of 30 years, but 7 years.
Je tu obdobie prípravy 7 rokov
And 7 years, 7 years before 1926 takes you to 1919.
7 rokov od 1926 je 1919.
Right, so there's a development in 1919 that was preparation for what we saw from 1926 onwards.
A to, čo sa tam deje, to bola príprava na to, čo sa potom začalo diať od 1926 hore.
And this is the Bible conference that we've already mentioned.
A to je tá biblická konferencia, o ktorej sme už hovorili.
Right. What took place at this Bible conference,
A čo sa stalo v tejto
where we saw the
konferencii,
adoption of the evangelical gospel,
keď sme videli toto evanjelické evanjelium,
that all we need is Jesus, right?
že všetko, čo potrebujeme, alebo evanjelikálne, všetko, čo potrebujeme, je Pán Ježiš.
Prophecy is something else, you know.
Proroc-
Prophecy is a side issue. The
Proroctvo,
matter is Jesus.
proroctvo je vedľajšia vec. Pán Ježiš je tým stredom.
Right? This evangelical gospel was adopted here,
Toto evanjelikálne evanjelium bolo prijaté tu.
What also happened at the same Bible conference,
Čo sa tiež stalo na biblickej konferencii?
the same man, W.W. Prescott,
Ten istý muž,
pushed
Prescott,
for the introduction of the revised Bible versions.
veľmi tlačil dopredu, aby sa zaviedli nové biblické preklady a nové verzie.
The revised Bible, which
Vlastne
is the predecessor of the NIV.
v angličtine to
And the
bola
NIV is the ecumenical Bible.
revised version, z ktorej potom sa spravila
So
NIV verzia, to
this
je vlastne
work, you have the
ekumenická.
adoption 7 years before 1926.
Toto sa stalo 7 rokov pre 1926.
You have the adoption of the ecumenical gospel and the ecumenical Bible.
Prijatie ekumenického evanjelia a ekumenickej Biblie.
As preparation for the adoption of the ecumenical working policy,
Čo bola príprava na to
which
ekumenické
opened the
dianie.
doors for the Protestants to come in and desolate the jewels of truth,
A,
and scatter the jewels of truth.
a to vlastne otvorilo dvere protestantom, aby začali pošlapávať tie poklady pravdy, ktoré sme mali.
So you see that the number 126 as a symbol of the 2520
Vidíme číslo 126 ako symbolom 2520.
sheds light on not only the present day, but the history of Adventism.
Nám to dáva svetlo nie iba na dnešný deň, ale aj na históriu adventizmu.
And in our next study, we're going to look at this prophetic symbol
V našej ďalšej
More closely.
štúdii sa budeme pozerať na tento prorocký symbol troška viac bližšia.
as it relates to us at the end of the world now.
Ako sa to týka nás na konci sveta.
We're out of time, so let's close the prayer.
Už čas vypršal, takže poďme sa pomodliť.
Father in heaven, we thank you for your word.
Drahý nebeský Otče, ďakujeme ti za tvoje slovo.
We thank you for what we've been able to cover in the morning of this first full day.
Ďakujeme ti za to, čo sme mohli pokryť v tejto prvej prezentácii dnešného dňa.
We ask for your blessing now as we break for lunch.
Prosíme ťa o požehnanie, ako pôjdeme teraz obedovať.
And as we return to continue our studies.
A keď sa vrátime na štúdium,
Please be with us, for we ask it in Jesus' name.
prosíme, ostan s nami v mene Ježiša.
Amen.
Amen.